Hey everybody, how you doing? Well, that's good. Welcome to PHLY Flyers, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. My name is Bill Matz. I'm your director of fun and games for the evening. Joining me today is the star of the Anthony Gargano Show. It is JP Zapata. What's going on, JP?
What's going on, brother?
Oh, just I bet you guys had a really positive, happy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, just a celebratory show this morning over on the Gargano feed.
Yeah, dude, it was great, man. It was awesome talking about moving on, facing the Padres, Dodgers. Yeah, dude. No, honestly, like this is exactly what I needed, Bill. Like because like for 2 nights, my wife had to stop me for breaking my TV because like I get Sean Manaea and then I get Jose Quintana, a fellow Colombian. And I need hockey. And it's funny because I feel like the city, too, like now the Phillies are done. Everyone's looking towards the Flyers, Sixers for some happiness. Well, I don't know if you want to do that.
Everybody's already mad at the Eagles.
Yeah, everyone's already
The Sixers, it's like, yeah, they look good and all, but I'm not falling for that again. So everyone's looking to the Flyers, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you.
There's a potential stud rookie.
Things should be better.
Right.
You know? But I will say it's really disappointing, the Phillies season ending the way it did. It is funny, though, like the stages of grief you go through.
Oh, dude.
It's like I'm just sitting there talking to Ava today. I'm like, we won't spend a couple grand on playoff tickets this year. That's good, right? Like, not to mention the beers and everything when you're there. Like, we are going to save some money this October. That's cool. Like, you're just trying to bargain with yourself reasons it's actually good. Like, all right, they're going to make changes that are necessary so that they can win the World Series next year. But really what I was thinking of today was, as disappointing as this is, and it sucks so bad, to the Mets. But I can't wait for the Flyers to be able to disappoint me like this again.
Oh, man.
I don't want them to. Hopefully they just win 3 straight Stanley Cups and like everything's good at some point. But the fact, like, the Phillies can hurt me this bad still after all these years and all of the disappointment and everything we've been through, I can't wait for the Flyers to be able to play games like this again where if everything works, it's the best thing that's ever happened. And if everything goes wrong, you're like, all these guys I like, I hate them now. I'm looking forward to that time with the Flyers again because it has been so long. And that's what I'm choosing to take away from this is that, like, because the thing that's been like, oh, this is such a bad era for Philly sports. I'm like, you are 12 years old.
Yeah. Dude, that's the best part about it. The young ones.
Like while I look at like 2022 now as, ooh, what a terrible blown opportunity for the city. The fact that we went to technically 3 championship rounds that season and came away with nothing. But like to think that that is a bad era and not the era of Eagles football after 2008 where they didn't win a playoff game for how long? Dude. For a decade. And the Phillies who were completely irrelevant until they signed Bryce Harper. And the Sixers who were losing on purpose. Like, this is not a bad era. This is a disappointing era, but disappointment comes when you have expectations. And I'm just hoping that the expectations can begin for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I think it starts this year. Like, we don't have championship expectations. That seems impossible.
Right.
But the expectations are beginning. Like, me personally, after last season, and yeah, listen, Carter Hart's not here anymore. Sean Walker's not here anymore. Some guys had some bad ends to the season, like Joel Farabee, Sean Couturier. But I think those guys bouncing back and bringing in Michkov, some of the additions, some guys getting older, more mature, they should take a step this year. And it's like the beginning of those sorts of expectations. Like, we're on the ground floor with this thing.
Yeah.
And that's really cool to see because while it is very disappointing that the Phillies, are out and we're all broken up over it, I look at the Flyers and go, those sorts of runs are like what create so much. Like that's why you have something like Red October, where it's a disappointment that it's October 10th and there ain't no more baseball.
Oh, I know,
whereas that's basically been my whole life.
Right.
You know, outside of when I went to college, my whole life there was no baseball in October.
Seriously.
It's not that much different, but now all of a sudden, because we grew with this thing, we watched it happen, we expect it. I'm looking forward to that with the Flyers sooner than later.
Well, I mean, this Philly sports life, and you know very well, it's not for the weak, Bill. Like it tests your sports loyalty to no end, and like people kind of do forget because you see a lot of people on Twitter like throwing out like all the collapses and all like the failures of Philly sports in the past couple years. Like even like last year for the Flyers, that ending was extremely disappointing. Like they were in a playoff spot for like 3-4 months, and then finally the last 2 weeks, boom, they're out of it. But like it's that moment right there, like that optimism. I feel like people are hopeful and optimistic towards the Flyers because we're so young, because we are building it up. And so there's that hope thing that we constantly keep talking about. So hopefully that collapse last year for the Flyers leads into this year and they can build off that.
I'm hoping it's something every single person I've heard on the team, whether it's like the interviews on Flyers Daily or any of the stuff with the Standard and really anything. When you hear a player from the Flyers talk, they say, looking back at last year, it stung so bad because we were sure we were going to the playoffs that I think they should be able to build on it. And it's going to be tougher this year. I don't think the East is going to be as bad. A lot of these teams, much like the Flyers, it's like, all right, show me you're good. Like, I don't believe you're good until you actually show me. But the East should be better. Like, if for no other reason than like the Devils won't suck. You know, the Devils shouldn't suck this year, and that automatically makes the East more difficult. But I'm looking forward to this season, and I think a lot of other people are too. Whether it's to find refuge from the other teams in this city that have disappointed them for years, or you're just looking for something new. You think you've been with this thing for a little while, and you see what they're building, and it doesn't look bad. Like they're obviously still a little while away. But they certainly do not look bad. And that's where I want to get to today is, so yesterday we aired a mailbag.
Nice.
A mailbag episode. We were off yesterday. I was like, you know what? It's the week of the opener. It's like the night that the NHL is actually dropping the puck. You know, like, yeah, they played those overseas games, but they were on at 10 a.m. and they were on the NHL network, so you couldn't see them. And Buffalo was 50% of the teams playing. So like, is it even real?
Not real hockey.
And one of the questions really stuck out to me. It was best and worst case scenarios for a couple of guys. And I answered the question. It was a solo show. I just did like a 30-minute mailbag or whatever it was, just to have some content up on the week of the season opener. But I really was just thinking, okay, what am I going to do today? What should today's show be? You know, we have pregame and postgame, and we actually have a watch along tomorrow. You should all be tuning in for. We'll be right here in the PHLY studios. It'll be Kelly and I for pregame at 9:30. Go right into the game when the puck drops. We'll watch it along with you, and then of course postgame, well, Charlie will join us from Vancouver. So we have all that going on. But just looking at the best and worst case scenarios for individual players on this team.
Okay.
So that's where I want to begin today, JP. I want to look at some of this and go a little deeper into that question from yesterday. Okay. And start it off with Matvei Michkov, the 19, not yet 20-year-old rookie, the Calder favorite on Bet365, and pretty much across all sports books. He is the betting favorite to be the rookie of the year in the NHL. Looks like he's going to start the season on a line with Coots and TK, so that's your de facto first line right there. You have the Selke winning captain, you have your leading scorer of the last few years, TK, and now you have the rookie phenom. What is the worst case scenario in your mind for Matvei Michkov? Because the best case, like, I think, is pretty obvious, but I'm trying to come up with like what would be disappointing. And to go along with the question, I'm going to bring up injury for some of these, like leave injury, because that's the worst case that's the worst case for everyone. Oh yeah, like he tears his ACL. That is the worst case scenario for every player on the team.
But like even when I saw him in preseason, like Bill, like the only thing that would make me disappointed is like he's not like the prospect that he thought. Like not, like, we don't see like that stud play that we thought he would be. like injuries, like the only thing like that I could think would be like the worst case scenario. Because like I've seen like he is an NHL player.
Yeah, it's really tough. Like just having watched him play in the preseason, and I realize it's the preseason. There's a lot of non-NHL guys out there. But just the way he plays, he is going to, maybe he's not like controlling the game like we saw in that second to last preseason game against Boston, where they just got outplayed. Every single guy on the team got outplayed, basically. Michkov still made the one play that created the goal, and it was a really smart, good play. And you just watch the way he plays, it creates points. Like maybe he's not going to control the game the way he did for some of the preseason, where it's like, man, if some of his shots were a little, or if a couple of his passes if the guys had just finished, like he could have had 4 points in some of these games, 5 points. Those were games he controlled. Maybe he's not that as a rookie, but he's going to put up some points just because his whole game is creating plays in the dangerous areas of the ice. And my worst case scenario is, I guess he has a year that's like the first quarter of Tyson Foerster's season from last year, where it's just he's snake bitten. Like, he's doing all the right things and the puck isn't going in. Like, that is the only outside of injury thing I could look at with Michkov and go, what could go wrong? And I know that's really setting yourself up for disappointment, but he just plays the game in a way that you go, I don't know how he's not going to put up points.
Okay. The other thing I could think of, it wouldn't disappoint me per se, but I feel like a portion of fan base would just be a little bit disappointed is maybe if he's more, because I saw this throughout practice and preseason as well, like if he's more of a facilitator, a guy who creates for others, rather than being that goal scoring, that killer that a lot of people thought he would be. Again, wouldn't be disappointed myself, but like I could see people being upset with that.
And I see that because we've for so long wanted our best player to be that guy, the guy who puts the puck in the net himself. And we've seen so many of the highlights, whether he's pulling a Michigan, whether he's going in on a 2-1-on-1 like we saw in the game winner against Boston and just going, I got this, don't worry about it, and puts the puck in the net. Like he's seemed like that guy who creates his own goals. Right. We've already seen the facilitator, the distributor, the point guard best player in Claude Giroux. And like, Briere was kind of 50-50. We had that with him. But we haven't had the dude who's like, he's going to be a 40-some goal scorer. Like that's since really we had one great season out of Jeff Carter where I think he had 46. But since Lindros, where it was like, he's just going to put the team on his back and do it himself. And that's what we're expecting out of Michkov. I think maybe we see more of the distribution early because, one, it's hard to score in NHL goalies. They're really good. Yeah, they're really freaking good. And two, just the dynamic of being a rookie. Like, he wants to set up his teammates and seem like a good teammate. I can see that maybe coming into play. But outside of that, like I can't come up with a worst case scenario for Michkov.
Dude, the excitement's
he just
real,
looks so good.
He does. He does, and this is like the top end talent. And obviously, we need more top end talent.
Sure,
but this is the start that we were all looking for, Bill.
It is. So best case, it's obviously Calder Trophy.
Yeah. Flyers in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's the best player on a playoff team. At 19, he'll be 20 by the time the playoffs come around. If he is the best player on the team and they are ticketed for the playoffs, then it's like, oh, all right, because he's 20. He's 20 years old, and he just took a mediocre team to the playoffs. That's pretty cool. Yeah. The best case is like Michael Jordan, man. The ceiling is the roof. Like it's hard to come up with the best case. I don't know. He gets MVP votes. Like I don't know. He might be real. Like the best case scenario is so high for him, and maybe some of this is like we are just so starved. We want it so bad, but I just watch him play, and I don't know how it can't go pretty well. You know, like the floor seems very high. That's what I'll say.
Dude, you give top end talent to any one of these teams in Philadelphia, we're gonna get crazy. All right.
Listen, man. You know they gave us Bryce Harper.
Yeah, dude.
We're still talking about it. Next guy I want to talk about the center of this top line, Sean Couturier. Named the captain last year.
Right.
Got off to a very good start after missing the full, basically 2 years from the back injury and subsequent surgeries. He had the abdominal injury that he had cleaned up in the offseason. He says he's healthy. The coach says, we'll see. Hope so. The coach is hilarious. Sean Couturier, what is your best case for Sean Couturier?
Best case. I think it's tough to kind of ask him to get back to what we saw of him when he was fully healthy.
70 points, 30 goals, one of the best two-way forwards. That sounds like a lot.
That sounds like a lot for a guy at this age. So would it be ridiculous to ask for like 40 to 50 points, 15 and 20 goals? The thing is that I hate that it came after he got the C. The dude went cold, especially with goal scoring.
It went real rough.
Yeah. And so, like, you can't obviously have that happen here again. So I think the best case scenario is he's just that strong veteran player who's still contributing. Like we talked about, 50 points is still pretty solid.
That'd be great.
And just being that veteran guy for those young, I think at this point of his career, it's about that next generation. He's getting older. He's obviously been learning under the Flyer way and allowing those guys behind him, those young players, to kind of grow under him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the line they have him on, and it's with Michkov and Konecny. So it's like some offense is going to be expected from him.
Yes.
But it'll be hopefully offense the way it was expected from him when he was with Giroux, where they're going to do the heavy lifting in the offensive zone. You just get yourself into the crease, you get yourself into the slot, put home some rebounds, be a presence in front of the net. But more than anything, you look at these two guys that are on either side of them, and they're going to score a lot on the rush. They're going to have, hopefully, a lot of give and go plays. They're going to carry the load offensively for this line. Couturier just has to be that third guy. You know what I don't see here? A ton of defense. Couturier has to be that responsible third guy and kind of make up for the mistakes of a rookie who doesn't speak the language yet, and Travis Konecny, who has improved his defensive game. He's a willing defender, but he's never going to be like a good defensive. That's just not who he is. I want him scoring 30 goals. I don't care about his defense that much. Yeah. And that's kind of how I feel about Michkov, too. So I need Coots to kind of just be that reliable center, and it looked like it can translate for years down the line. All right, if we can get you to be the 2C or the 3C and just be really good defensively, win 55% of your faceoffs, do all those little things that you've done for so long, like that's the best case scenario for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then another thing too is I do like, I was listening to TK's interview. Obviously Coots with the C, TK and Lalt, they have with the A's in the sweater. And I just like the combination. Like Coots is like another coach out there. Like he holds guys accountable. And obviously TK is more the lean back guy. And Lalt is kind of a mixture of the both. So that's going to be extremely important with Coots. And obviously, like you talked about, we want everyone to be healthy. But when you're talking about Coots, you miss year and a half with that back. So that's always something that we're going to keep an eye out. But as long as you're just being that veteran leader that we all know he can be, I think a lot of people will be happy with that with Coots.
And that's what leads me to my worst case. Like, it's not even like gets hurt and can't play, because as bad as that would be, then you could just go, oh, well, long-term injured reserve. Sucks, but we can live with it. We've been living with guys on LTIR since it was introduced, basically. Worst case scenario for Couturier is just he's the guy we saw in the second half of the season. And he's healthy enough to play. So no one will ever, you can't LTIR him. No one will ever trade for that contract. And you just are kind of counting down to the point where it makes sense to be able to buy him out, because he just can't do it anymore. And that is absolutely the worst case scenario, where you're just paying him almost $8 million to be a fourth line player. That is the worst case scenario for Sean Couturier. But yeah, I guess on top of that would be he and the coach just cannot get along. That would, and not where they're screaming in each other's faces, but Charlie and I talked about this the other day. It is very clear John Tortorella wants this team to play fast. And you look at some of the guys he did not, he talks about how, Torts talks about how him and Kevin Hayes just could not agree on how he wanted Kevin to play. It's because Kevin is a deliberate player. He plays at his own pace. He is not in a rush. Sean Couturier, when he was in his prime, winning the Selke Trophy, putting up 70-some points, was not a fast player. And now he's had multiple back surgeries. He's now had a couple of abdomen surgeries. He's 32 years old. He's never going to be fast. If the coach and he just are like at odds, that's an issue as well, because this dude's wearing the C, and he's one of the few guys who's been around long enough now, because there's been a ton of turnover. He's one of the few guys who's been around long enough now that this locker room is like, yeah, he's our guy, man. Like, that's the captain. That's the elder statesman of this room. That could lead to some real problems between the locker room and the coach, who, is a volatile, crazy person.
Yeah,
I guess those are the worst.
Much.
Those are the. I love John Tortorella. He's insane.
Yeah,
he's not just the way it is. Yeah. So I guess those are probably the worst case scenarios for Coots. Just he can't keep up, and the coach lets him know it on a regular basis.
Yeah, but I mean, even Torts has to realize. I mean, there's a reason why he gave him the C2. There's a lot of young players on this team. You're going to need some veteran leadership. And the other thing, too, we didn't bring up is that, listen, the offense in general was struggling during that downfall last year. And it's not all on Coots. But obviously, Coots is one of those guys who has put up some goals in the past. And if that does happen again, I mean, I'm curious who answers to it, or how it kind of all plays out. But that's something else to look at. Can't go through those goal droughts.
No, and that's the way they've set up these lines, like Couturier between Michkov and Konecny. It's like, all right, Coots really struggled offensively last year, so let's give him some help. I see Jett Luchanko, like, okay, he's between Brink and Farabee. These are a couple of guys who are expected to put up some offense. Luchanko, we know he can play good defense already. Like, we're pretty sure he's going to be all right defensively. He might be able to check really well at this level. But can he score? Does he have the mature offensive game? Well, we're going to put him in position to do that. And I see the same with Coots. Like, it seems like they're trying to structure this thing so that anybody who might slump, it's not a 2-month-long, where the hell did they go sort of thing. Yeah. They're able to spread it around a little bit, and at least they won't be dragging a line down, because, like, Coots might not be able to keep up anymore. Michkov and Konecny are going to put up points, though, because it's what they do. So you'll be getting something out of that line, and you'll be able to figure it out from there. And then hopefully, like, yeah, Frost with Foerster and Tippett, sure, they better be able to carry us offensively for a few weeks at a time, because that's the line made up of 3 dudes in their prime whose job is to score. Like, that's the line that's made up that way. So I'm looking at the structure of this, and I like the way it's put together to protect guys like Couturier and Luchanko a little bit.
These lines got me giddy, Bill. I mean, the mixture of some of these veteran players, the young players. Oh my God,
it's an exciting time, man. I will say, I know that they've tried to temper our expectations, and that's probably smart. I'm feeling real good going in. Maybe I just want something new. Like, this is my rebound after oh, no, I'm in love. No, you're not. You just want to get over that last thing. That's how I'm feeling about the Flyers right now. I am feeling really, really good. So maybe you could say I might need to choose to chill. I get it. We all need to choose to chill sometime between work, social media, life. It's no wonder we're just constantly worked up. Coors Light celebrates rising above and choosing a chill mindset. And this team, we know that they're going to drive us nuts at some point. It's inevitable. We've been doing this a long time, and I'm not getting any less fired up. And that's why I need to choose to chill sometimes. And there's no better way to chill than with an ice-cold Coors Light. So whether you're freaking out about the captain, a couple of the new rookies, the coach, whatever it is, you need to find the Blue Mountains in your fridge and enjoy a beer as cold as the Rockies. Because when everything surrounding your favorite hockey team is on fire, sometimes you just got to chill. Make the most of the times you choose to chill. Choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY hockey. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And while we're here, I got to tell you about our friends at Rothman Orthopedics. Everyone has a specialty they love. For some, it's running or gardening. For others, it's shooting hoops or crossing up a defender. Yeah, I didn't. At Rothman Orthopedics, their physicians are not only specialized in orthopedics and clinical research, but they are fellowship trained to treat specific areas of the body. And since 1970, their physicians have remained committed to research, innovation, and minimally invasive procedures to get you back to what you specialize in. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Rothman Orthopedics specialize in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today. All right.
Defenders.
I thought, you know what? I should switch this to hockey. And then I was like, you know what? It's actually funnier if I do it. If I do it for, I guess deking, yeah, like glove saves and I don't know. Honestly, I was like, the basketball one just reads more naturally. I'm not going to switch this up. Let's go to Travis Konecny.
Let's do it, brother.
It's again kind of tough coming up with a worst case scenario for TK. Like he's kind of set a baseline for himself over the last couple of years. 30 goals, close-ish to a point a game. What do you think is a worst case scenario for Travis Konecny?
I mean, if he completely falls off. I mean, so the least amount he scored in the season was his rookie year and the 2020 year, which obviously we know what happened that year. 11 goals. So I mean, like what if he comes back down to earth and scores 20 goals? I guess I would say it'd be a little bit disappointing considering the fact that there seems to be more talent on this team. But yeah, I mean, like last year was electric. There was times last year where it felt like TK was unstoppable, and he definitely earned that contract. Now, again, the big part with me with TK is the crucial month of hockey when you're fighting for that playoff spot. That was one guy I was looking for to step up, and unfortunately, he wasn't one of those guys. But yeah, just falling off on the goal score. I mean, he's our top goal scorer. And I think that's not going to change this year.
Yeah, I would expect him to be in that 30-goal range again. He had 31 a couple of years ago, and that was just in 60 games, 33 this past season.
Yeah, dude.
I would say for a worst-case scenario, he kind of falls back into those slump years. You see those the COVID year, 2020-21, and then that 16-goal year in 2021-22, where it was just like, what the hell happened to this guy? He was trending up so well. Things were looking really good. He had 61 points in 1920 before the stoppage. And then did he have like 61 combined in those next two? Yeah, he did. But like just really fell off in those following 2 years. Now he's put 2 really solid years together, and he's got this contract. Kicking that off with a slump year, a down year, even though he's kind of set a base for himself, and you'd go, okay, I expect him to bounce back and be closer to his average. He is inching closer and closer to 30 years old. He's 27 now. It's not as if he's not in his prime.
Hockey world, he's old. He's getting old.
This league just keeps getting younger and younger. Dude, yeah. Like Jett Luchanko makes this team, and it's. Yeah, man, we need people who do what everyone's real fast. We need guys who do what he does. It would be, I guess, a worst-case scenario. I like yours, we need him to step up, not fade into the background when the games matter most. Yeah. A lot of things are going to determine whether this team can make the playoffs, the rest of the East, the goaltending. You know, is Jett Luchanko going to stay? Is he a contributor? Do they have a bottom 6 if he doesn't stay? Those sorts of things. But Travis Konecny carried this offense last year.
He did.
And when he stopped scoring, the team stopped scoring.
Yeah, man. That's a good point. It's crazy, too, is for everything everyone says about Torts and some of the younger players, dude, he's gotten the most out of TK. Look at how his career's kind of turned around since Torts took over. It's incredible.
We kind of got into this the other day. It's funny to think back to Torts' first year. And there were clearly guys that it was like, yeah, this just ain't going to work. And one of them was very much Kevin Hayes. And Kevin Hayes was playing with TK at the time. And for a while, it looked like neither of them were going to be here. Yeah, there was a game, I believe, in San Jose early on where the team just sucked.
Always San Jose.
Yeah, he couldn't bench the whole team, but he had to send a message. So he benched TK and Kevin Hayes for like the whole third period. TK bounced back from that, and now he's one of the guys Tortorella counts on, whereas Kevin Hayes, it was like, this ain't gonna work.
Fourth line in Pittsburgh,
Yeah,
baby.
he's the 4C in Pittsburgh now. Like, it's a little different. But, yeah, I think it's now he has to be at 27 years old, not just, oh, yeah, man, he scores some shorthanded goals. He's a lot of fun to watch. He's a pain in the ass to play against. He has to be a real catalyst for this team on and off the ice, like a real leader. If he's going to – everyone who wants to compare him to Brad Marchand, like, he has to kind of step into that role now on and off the ice where he's consistent and a leader.
Also, keeping that pesk too, man. Jawing at the opponent.
Absolutely,
dude.
have to.
That's what makes TK.
You need some of that element. He needs to be drawing penalties and just annoying the hell out of the other team.
Absolutely, dude.
Best case for TK, he and Michkov
oh my God,
click like crazy together. 5-on-5 and on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
And we see TK put up 35, 40 goals. Suddenly he's got new career highs because he's playing with, for the first time in a while, someone better than him. Like like as good as or perhaps better than him. And I expect Michkov to be better than him down the line. It's
For
just
sure.
like at 19-20, can you expect that? It's tough. But if they click really well right away, that's the best case, that TK puts up new career highs because he's got a guy to play give and go with.
Yes, and in all seriousness, like, I expect him to score at least 30 goals this year.
30 is the absolute minimum.
Yeah.
The cap's going up. Money doesn't mean quite what it does. You look at the cap hit and, like, because it's been flat for so long, you see that $8 million and go, whoa, it's kind of a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But next year there's going to be a guy making like 16 when McDavid gets his new contract. Like, things are changing, but you look at that $8 million and it still means you have to score 30, man. Like, that's what we need from you. We need 30 goals, 70 points out of TK. That's a minimum.
Yeah.
Now with Michkov, I think hopefully that raises the ceiling a little bit.
Yeah, man.
That would be cool.
Definitely.
All right, let's hit our first defenseman on the best and worst case here. Cam York.
Cam.
To me, the best case for Cam York is he eventually takes over one of the power play spots.
Okay.
Hopefully it's power play 2 because Jamie Drysdale's real good and he stays on power play 1. We'll get to him in a bit. But he takes over power play 2 and he starts showing some of the offense. I thought he took some real big steps last year in his overall game. He was probably the Flyers' most consistent defenseman, especially after they traded Sean Walker. Really liked the step Cam York took last year. But a best case is he proves he's a top pair defenseman, and now we're just looking for one of those to fill that hole. That would be real nice. What's your best case for Cam York?
It's a great question. I mean, obviously last year was the big step that we needed him to take, right? He took hold of that, top pairing spot with Travis Sanheim. He also, too, he did a really good job, and there was something very sneaky, but he blocked a ton of shots, too. And that's something that...
Second on the team in blocks.
Yeah. And that
guy
was
Nick
really big,
Seeler,
too.
whose whole identity is blocking shots.
Yes. And I guess, like, for right now, like, the ceiling right now is he takes hold, like, legitimately takes a hold of one of those top spots. And, like, it's there. Like, we constantly keep saying, like, Sanheim and York, like, if you want to be those top defensemen for the team going down the line when we're competing for cups, like, it is there. And I think it's interesting because you could probably lump both of them together. Like, obviously, Cam, more that shifty type of, that you're hopefully he could be maybe a rover type of defenseman. Travis Sanheim, that big body type of dude. So it's definitely there for them to take those top defensive pairing roles, but you got to take it here. So the best case scenario is Cam York takes a hold of that top pairing spot.
That's the ultimately, I think, and we'll do Sanheim because you're right. They do kind of go hand in hand. Like, ultimately, I think Travis Sanheim is a good second pair defenseman. He eventually moves back over to the left side. They find a righty, whether it's Jamie Drysdale or somebody else, Oliver Bonk, whatever it might be, to play on that second pair with Travis Sanheim. That's what he is, and he's good at it for the rest of his contract. York, to me, has actual top pair potential. And maybe it's just because we haven't seen him as much as we have Sanheim yet. But the step he took last year, especially defensively and in the neutral zone, I just think there's a little bit more there. But the offense has to come with it eventually. And a lot of that is power play. They don't have a guy who's definitely a power play defenseman yet. They think Jamie Drysdale is one of them. Right now, it's Igor Zamula. Igor Zamula did a nice job last year. If he's running one of your power play units, you don't have enough guys.
No, you
like
don't.
That's what it comes down to, and hopefully that can be York. So I think that's his best case scenario is he takes over the second power play, leads the team in minutes the way he did in the second half of the season last year, and kind of separates himself from the rest of the defensemen. I am a top pair guy, and now we're just looking for somebody to pair with him on a top pair.
Yeah. 10 goals, 20 assists, man. We could definitely improve upon that.
A worst case for York, to me, is just stagnation. Like you said, 10 goals, 20 assists. He had the 30 points. Like if he just looks like, oh, yeah, he's a solid top four, but I don't know if he's a top pair guy. Like that's worst case scenario. I think he has a baseline. I think his baseline, like I don't think it's like, oh, and now he stinks. I don't think that's going to happen with Cam York. I think he's pretty good. But he needs to take that step from pretty good to like dependable top pair. And if he doesn't, that is a major disappointment.
I completely agree with you too, and I wonder how much he was battling injuries during some of the tough parts of last year. We were hearing him, muscling it out there, trying to get it, stay on the ice. But I completely agree with you. I mean, obviously, if he just doesn't no improvement whatsoever in the game, especially offensively, doesn't take hold like you talked about one of the power play roles. That to me would be the lowest.
I think York might have missed one game last year, and he had that shoulder problem. And then he was out there for the Winter Classic or the outdoor game, whatever it was.
Definitely tough kid.
Stadium series. And it was he and Sanheim both dealt with stuff. And it was like so many of their defensemen got hurt at different points last year. And they were the top guys. They just couldn't come out. It was like, can you skate? You kind of got to go because we're out of dudes. Yeah, and that's kind of what happened last year. And they took it upon themselves. Like that's what I know we kind of harp on sometimes. Just a little bit less hockey mentality and then get healthy and then you're 100% when you come back. But the thing nobody will ever be is 100% in the playoffs. You do kind of have to learn how to produce and how to contribute when you're not at 100%. Because I do think that was a little bit of an issue for the team as a whole last year. Like, when they had their A game, they beat really good teams.
Oh my God.
Like they competed with Vegas, they competed with Dallas, they competed with Colorado. They beat them sometimes. Like they played
Boston,
some
Florida.
great games against some great teams. Florida beat them twice. Yeah. When they brought their A game, they were one of the better teams for a lot of the season. And if they had their B game, they absolutely sucked.
Yeah,
and like they have to find a way to even that out. Like And I think I talked about this with Charlie with Michkov, like that Boston game, the last real preseason game against Boston, I thought was a great example of what Michkov can do for you. Like they were not good. They got outshot by like 20 in that game. It was like 34-14 or something. Got crushed. But because Michkov made one play, it was a 1-goal game until they pulled the goalie. Like kept them in it, even though they were playing horribly for most of the game. And hopefully that's a difference this year with a little bit more top-end talent. You're able to, hey, we have our B game tonight, but it's not 5-0. Like, it's 3-2, and if we have a good third period, we can steal a point and maybe 2. Like that's kind of what you're looking at this year. And I think York and Sanheim, like that's a big part of it. When you don't have it, can you still contribute in a big way?
Dude, stars help you win in any sport, especially this one. And, we always make the joke, like, dude, if you had some sort of a power play, you're probably talking about playoffs last year.
Yeah.
With some of that top-end talent, that power play's got to play better. And you're probably talking about, what, maybe 10, 15 more goals on the season end?
It would just be Danny Briere in his press conference the other day. I found it very funny that he talked about the Flyers power play the way we do. Like, I'm not looking for you to be top 5, top 10. Like, I'm not even looking for you to be in the top half of the league. If you were 22nd last year, you make the playoffs. Like, you might be top 3 in the division.
Literally.
You were in if you just weren't the worst I've ever seen. And that's what we're looking to do this year. And I think a lot of guys just need to find that, like, something between good and bad. Like you can be in the middle and still win.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to find. I think York and Sanheim are great examples of that.
I'm glad Danny's answer was the same as Chuck's. Chuck's was just ridiculous. Oh, well, hey, the power play's been bad way before even I got here. Well, duh, that's why they hired you, dude.
So maybe you should fix it. Like, yeah, you have a job, right? Like they're paying you. All right, let's go to. I'm going to do Tyson Foerster, best and worst case scenarios. For me, best case scenario for Tyson Foerster. This was a question that came up on the mailbag yesterday, where like who should be the trigger man. I like him opposite Michkov on the first power play unit, so you can send him one-timers. Jamie Drysdale can send him one-timers, and he can just rip it. And you have a defensively responsible guy along the boards who can like win you some battles and get the puck back down low and start that cycle over. Best case scenario for Foerster is he does that. He's good on the power play. 30, 33 goals probably. Like we are talking about a guy who scored 20 in his rookie year. I'm not looking for him to score 50, but I think 30, maybe 35 is a really strong scenario for him.
Dude, I mean, he had 20 last year. I get to 30? And also, like, I guess I have to ask, like, throughout the league, you think, like, he's, like, people know him now throughout the league, right?
I think so. I think last year, like,
a little bit of name of himself for himself?
He did. His a lot of his, like, defensive metrics were top of the league, top 3 amongst wingers and forwards. Like, he was a really strong two-way player last year, and I think just the fact that they have him on the second line right now, like, yeah, you're going to play with Owen Tippett and Morgan Frost. Like, we are very much counting on you. I think he absolutely has started to make it. He got some Calder votes, didn't he? I believe
he did. But, Bill, it's important for a player like Foerster.
7th in Calder voting. He got a couple votes.
Got a couple? It's important for him to kind of show up because, dude, the important part of what we're doing right now, this rebuild, is having that young talent, right? That's why we're doing this. So it's important for Foerster, for Brink. Obviously, Michkov's not there yet. Neither is Luchanko. But you need these young players to take steps. And so for Tyson Foerster, dude, last year was great. Dude, that was a great season for Tyson Foerster with his 33 points. So let's continue taking that next step, dude. 30 goals. If he scores 30 goals, I'll be ecstatic, dude. That'd be freaking awesome.
He got to 20 with no goals in his first 15 games, and some other huge slumps along the way. There was after he got a little hot, then there was another 15-game goalless drought, like 16-gamer here. Like, if he can just cut down on those slumps, like turn them into, I always use Wayne Simmons because I wish when Wayne Simmons was in his prime, sports betting had been legal. Because I knew it, man. I had him down. He would go 7 games was always the thing. He would have these 7-game goalless droughts, and then he'd go off. Then he'd have like 4 and 5, 6 and 4, like, and then he'd go 7 without. It was I had Simmons' pattern down. And if you can just lower your pattern from 15, 16 to 5 or 6, yeah, you're scoring 30 easy. Like this is a guy who had 2 different 15-game slumps last year and still ended with 20.
Oh my
God.
God.
All he has to do is not that. Like, put a couple more in, and that's where the power play comes in. Again, like this is going to be power play and goaltending are probably the major themes of this season.
Yes,
These
sir.
are the 2 things that we just don't know about.
Right.
But if they're a little bit better, it helps everything.
Yes, sir.
And there's no reason they shouldn't be. Like if Harrison just gets normal rest, and some of these players are just as good as they are at 5-on-5 on the power play. The power play should be better. At 12.2%, it's hard to be worse. It would be more difficult to be worse than it would to be better.
Spot on, dude. Spot on.
All right, before we go any further, speaking of legal sports gambling, listen, there's plenty of places out there, but you know what many of them are? They're ordinary. Just, it's a sports book. It's on my phone, whatever. But whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365 because Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide and live stream over 780,000 events each year. They offer early payouts across the NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball. Talking about NHL early payouts. If your team goes up, say you bet the Flyers on the money line Friday night in Vancouver, Say they get a 3-goal lead. Go to bed. You're done because you've already won. It doesn't matter how the game ends. Vancouver comes back, ties it up, wins it overtime, whatever happens. Doesn't matter to you. You're already a winner with Bet365 early payout. If your team gains a 3-goal lead, you get an instant payout on straight bets, and parlay selections are marked as winners as well. So download the app and use code PHLY365 when you sign up. That's right. All you have to do is download the Bet365 app, use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. And just to let you know, it's also available in Jersey. I use it both sides of the bridge. It's all good. It's all good. This read just says PA only, but you can use it on both. And now it's time for Shady Rays, baby. You got to get ready for the upcoming season with quality shades built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized shades that won't break the bank. Wearing my Shady Rays every single day. They are especially important now with these 4 and 5 o'clock commutes. Got that lower sun here in the fall. Can be tough to drive with. That's why you got to get yourself some Shady Rays. And if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, exchange for a new pair or return worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop. Their team always has your back with personal and fast support. And exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code PHLY for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. All right. Let's see if we can knock out some more of these best and worst case scenarios before we wrap up today. Let's worst case scenario for Tyson Foerster. Let's put a bow on that. I think is just stagnation. Doesn't take a step. Is a nice player. Good defensively. 20 goals. But they need more. Like they've said for a long time, when Charlie or anyone has brought up, like, where's this top-end talent? They have named Tyson Foerster as one of those guys. Now, for a while, it was all right, he looks like a good player, but you drafted him in the 20s. He's not exactly a blue-chip prospect, and they think that's incorrect. They think Tyson Foerster is a top-end guy. Worst-case scenario, he's just a good second liner. Yeah. Like, yeah, okay, 20 goals, good defense. That's nice. It's a nice player to have. But he's not special. They think he's special.
He's an average player. Like a role player, you're saying? Like, yeah, he turns out to be just a role player on like second, third line.
You need good 20-goal guys and everything, but considering, like Danny just told us, we're not going to have like more top picks or anything.
Right.
Well, then where are these players coming from? Some of the dudes you already have to be them. I think Tyson Foerster is probably their best chance at creating one. If he's not, if he takes a step back this year, if he just kind of stagnates, then it's like, well, all right, same question now. Where are you getting these top-end guys? Hopefully Tyson Foerster can be one.
That's what I'm saying, man. These young kids have to develop, and he's an important one if you want this rebuild to work, man.
All right. Now with Morgan Frost, I mean.
It's simple. Best case scenario, he punches out Torts, dude. Yeah. Best case scenario.
That would be, if he punched out Torts would name him captain. Like he'd rip the C off of Sean Couturier, slap it right on Morgan Frost, and be like, give him the contract. He's in a contract year, give it to him, whatever he wants. Oh, like it would happen. But I do think there is a world where Morgan Frost scores like 60, 70 points this year, and that has to be a best case scenario for him. To me, that would make him one hell of a trade candidate. But the worst case is what we've been living through. Yeah. He shows some flashes. He falls in the during his slumps into Torts' doghouse, and we're just living Groundhog's Day with this guy still. It's, he can be good, and also the coach doesn't like the way he plays very much, so he sits him a lot.
Well, I mean, like, dude, if he's not going to play the style that Torts wants, and he's getting benched early on in the season, I mean, he's got to be gone before deadline, no?
They can't keep playing this game. Yeah. Especially with him having a contract. Like, it's not good for either side. Yeah. Like, he's 25 now. Like, this is it. Like Morgan Frost, we had a question yesterday that I didn't get to, like who's make or break. This is make or break season for Morgan Frost. He is either going to be here or he is not. Yeah. And he has to put up career high numbers and play the way Torts wants him to play in order to be here. That's the best case scenario. The worst is, hopefully they just trade him at the deadline if it's the same. If we're living Groundhog's Day again, and it's like, yeah, man, it's November 1st. He's sitting. Guess what? Trade him. Yeah, just freaking trade him. This is never going to work.
Because we don't like. I don't want to go into like game 30. We're playing like the Devils, and we're playing 11-7 because John Tortorella is pissed off.
That's a great point. I'm good on the.
Like we don't need that.
I'm all set. It's time to evaluate the players in real situations. 11-7. That's not how you would ever do a playoff roster. It's time. It's time to just draw a line in the sand for everyone, the coach and the player, and go like, these are the expectations. Hit them or you're gone. Both sides.
But realistically, like, it's just about being committed to both ends of the ice, right? Like, when we're playing defense, you have to show some effort. You got to be active in that because, dude, the man can dish the puck to guys to score. I mean, man had 48 points last year. Was it 41 points, 20 assists? I mean, the dude knows how to create for others.
He does. I think this year what's going to make or break him is, one, he contributes on the power play. Like he's going to be a guy who has the puck on the power. It's going to run through Michkov, but he's going to be a dude who needs to come through on this team's power play. And two, I think playing him with Tippett sends a message. You need to play fast.
Yes.
Like Sean Couturier is slow. But Morgan Frost, while he's not, like him and Kevin Hayes are different, he is a lot more of a, all right, I got the puck in over the line, and now I'm going to circle back, and I'm going to be deliberate, and we're going to see. John Tortorella wants his players attacking. Just take it to the freaking net, and then if you don't score, jam away and try to get a greasy goal. Like, that's what he wants. He needs to now, like Morgan Frost just has to play faster. He has to play with more pace. I think playing him with Tippett is a great way to get that out of him because it's like, yo, Tippett's going to be offsides on every play if you're not skating your ass off. So you better move. And we have Jett Luchanko. Jett Luchanko is here. He will play the way Torts wants him to because that's his game. We will replace him with you so fast. The coach loves this guy. He just met him. He obviously doesn't love you. You have to do what he wants or you're gone.
Let me ask you, because obviously, listen, we know Torts' style. Like that, like we've seen it enough. We know how he likes to play. But don't you think like there could be something to playing slow in that type of sense? Setting up an offense, playing a little more slow?
Yeah. I think once they get set up on offense, like if they need to be better with like their half-court offense. When they are set up on the cycle and doing that sort of thing, that has to improve because that's where they really struggled last year, and that's what playoff hockey is. Like you don't get a ton of 2-on-1s in the playoffs. Right. That's just not the way that's not the way anyone's playing. And teams were basically playing cover 2 last year. It was, so you want to beat us for breakaways? Well, we're going to have a guy back all the time. Our defensemen are not going to be aggressive. Now you can create no offense. And I think Frost can contribute in that way, but he still wants that fast attack too.
I get that.
Like they have to find a balance, absolutely, but I think it has to be that. Let's see if we can get a few more before we get to the super chats. Let's go with Owen Tippett because this is a guy who now has basically had the same season 2 years in a row, 27, 28 goals. They gave him the big contract last year, $6.2 million. He's part of this thing, and Torts loves him.
I love him.
Loves the speed, loves the aggression, the shooting, the just willingness to fire the puck from everywhere. Best case scenario for Owen Tippett, it's 40 goals. He hits the net at a higher rate. He figures out a way to score more like in that half-court offense, so it's not all on the rush.
Okay.
And reaches this guy was a top 10 pick in 2017. I think 40 goals is the best case scenario for Owen Tippett.
Heck yes. Sign me up for that.
I think he could be Jeff Carter.
Be the sniper.
Yeah.
Be the sniper. That's what we do need from him. I mean, one thing, his role in the power play, what do you see him as? Because we had this discussion last year too. Where are you at now?
I love Foerster as the trigger man on power play 1, and they're such similar players, both right-handed, both with really good shots. He's big though, and
It's a tough part. I know.
I kind of want to see him maybe in the bumper, where he could. I just want to see so much more movement this year, like in the bumper where he can shoot. He's a big guy. You can play him in front. He can get back. He can win a race to a puck behind the net to kind of keep things going. I want him creating havoc in the middle of the ice. Whatever specific role that is, I'm not positive, but I want him creating havoc in the middle of the ice, and that's where he scores so much from the perimeter. 27, 28 goals the last couple of years. If he can find himself in those dangerous areas more often, he will score 40. That's what he has to do this year. That's how he reaches his potential.
And that's like the plus with Tippett is like he is versatile and you can use him in different situations, especially on that power play with that body. But dude, his shot, and he's probably like, I don't want to say this, but like he's kind of like the most prolific goal scorer that we do have.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like TK, I know he scores a lot.
TK
too.
scores a ton one way.
That's true.
That's
the Dallas Star goal last year for Owen Tippett. Oh my god!
He's shown flashes that he can take it to the net on the rush. He has scored a little bit like that shot, and that's where I think Michkov can come in, where he knows like distributing from behind the net. Like if you can hit this guy with a couple one-timer opportunities across ice from below the goal line, goalie's not going to have time to move.
Yeah.
Like he has that good of a shot. It's just about utilizing it. And the worst case is he's another guy where this is all he is.
Yeah.
Like right now his contract is fine. It'll remain fine.
Yeah.
But to win a championship, you need surplus value. If he suddenly becomes an $8 or $9 million player and you're paying him $6, that's how you win titles.
Right.
Like he needs to take that next step.
Absolutely.
All right, let's try to do 2 more before we do before we get to the super chats.
You got it.
Let's go with Jett Luchanko.
Jett.
Yeah, why not talk about Jett Luchanko? Worst case scenario, like it's hard to come up with one just because, all right, if he's not good, they send him back and then he gets to go back to his normal development plan. But I guess that would be, okay, he gets sent back and then it takes him a little time to get over being demoted, doesn't make the World Juniors team, doesn't have a dominant junior season, like doesn't have the 90, 100 points, is kind of where he was last year, stagnates a little. And okay, well then what did he make the team for? Like if you just stunt his development a little, I think that's the worst case. Like he just, all right, his draft plus 1 season was exactly like his draft season.
Yeah. I mean, like, dude, there's something to be said, the fact that he made the opening day roster. So like, yeah, I agree with you. If he goes back, I mean, he goes back. Like, what's the worst that can happen there? But yeah, if his confidence is shot if this doesn't work out, his confidence is shot, that's probably the worst case scenario. But I mean, he's got to be mentally tough for him to be here at this point. That's
what they keep telling us is about his maturity. That's one of the reasons he's here. And before we wrap up today, I'm going to thank all of our diehards for joining us. If you're not a diehard, what are you doing? AllPHLY.com. Sign up to be a diehard. But for those who join us every day and who contribute by being subscribers, thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, and best case for Jett, he sticks all year. And like I don't even want to put a points total on it, but if he can be in that a little more than Brink last year, like 35, like better than what did Sean Couturier do as a rookie?
Brink last year had 23 points. So I wouldn't be mad at that if that's what Jett Luchanko is going to be. But I'm looking at
Coots, his rookie year, had 27 points in 77 games. If Luchanko can be at like 30, because it looks like he's going to get power play time at least early. I think that's a best case where you see a little bit of offensive upside on top of all the other stuff he can do. He sticks with maybe Brink and Farabee all year. Like he's not holding those two guys back from creating the offense they need to create. And he puts up those 30, maybe 35. Is that too many to think for? That seems like a lot for a dude who maybe isn't the most dynamic offensively, especially at 18 years old, like just turned 18. I think 30 points is the best case scenario for Luchanko.
I mean, if he stays here for the entire season, he's like a regular starter. That's That to me is everything.
Because if he sticks, that's huge.
Yeah.
I think more than anything
That's
is
everything.
if he sticks and for good reason, you're like, yeah, look at what he's doing. Like, he deserves it. I think that absolutely, that's probably a best case scenario.
Absolutely,
It's tough to put a points total on it. Let's do Drysdale.
Jamie.
Let's talk about Jamie Drysdale. A worst case scenario. I mean, I know I didn't want to put injuries into this, but since that's such a big part of his story, he's got to play a minimum of 70 games.
I would say 60, but yeah,
72, 74. Like, he has to play a vast majority of this season. And then hopefully with that comes the on-ice development that they're hoping for. But more than anything, the dude needs to play.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, we know, like, dude can skate. Like, probably the best skater on the ice right now for us. It's about staying healthy. I truly feel confident with him even creating offense. I think the defense is another part that we need to keep an eye out for. I mean, like, we remember that Montreal game. You know, him and Nick Seeler.
Yeah,
-6, -5.
Outside of injury, that's the worst case scenario. Is he can't defend a lick?
Yeah,
like he just
can't
stinks.
have that happen.
Best case scenario, I said this on the mailbag. He's rookie Shane Gostisbehere, where he makes the power play better. He just creates rush chances at 5-on-5. He's that dynamic offensively. And the thing that was underrated about Ghost as a rookie was he good defensively? No. He was never going to be good defensively. But he used his skating and his athleticism to be able to just, like, stand up at the blue line and deny entries. Like, you know what? You never have to defend if you're never on defense. So if you're able to use your skating to make sure that they can't get into the offensive zone, that's good defense to me.
Right.
If he can kind of be that, what Shane was, you know, prior to all the injuries and stuff when he just really lost it defensively because he just didn't have that next level skating anymore and the elusiveness. But to me, like, best case is he plays close to 82 games and we see something.
Yeah.
Like, he's another one where I'm just like, please show me something.
Yeah.
We traded Cutter Gauthier for you. I need something, bro.
I know. And then, you know, all, like, the national pundits, dude, every chance they get, they're going to go over to Anaheim, look at what Cutter's doing over there. But, I mean, dude, for Jamie this year, yes, it is about staying healthy. But, like, the defensive side of it, obviously he's got to play some defense, but you would have to anticipate that they're going to line up a physical defenseman like Nick Seeler they did last year. So that part of his game won't be highlighted too much.
All right, and now let's hit those super chats. All right, let's go to Gary B. Says, young ones, buckle up. Life has not begun to F you yet. I call it now. Matvei gets a power play point of some kind tomorrow. Let's effing go. Flyers. Yeah, that's, man, it's rough out there. For Philly sports fans, this is not a bad era.
Imagine if you're a young Flyers fan, though, dude. Like, you don't know any success.
I don't understand how there are any. When people tell me, like, oh, I got into the team, I'm like, how?
And they're like 13 years old.
Yeah, but you've never seen anything good. I at least saw some almost really good stuff.
Paul Drew's your go. Like,
that's and there's no, like, you never even saw Eric Lindros. Like, that's.
I mean, I didn't either, but thank God for you too.
Yeah. And just like you never saw Mike Richards. Like you didn't see 2010. Like the 08 to 10 teams were real fun. All right. And from dumb Flyers fan to wrap things up today, did I reach on Michkov at 76th overall in fantasy?
It was 76 overall.
I have no idea. I have no idea how fantasy hockey works.
You've never done it.
I've done it a couple times and just can't keep up with it. Like, I just don't know what you're supposed to focus on. Like, Vince tells us about the league he's in with, like, you have 20 prospects and it's got every statistical category you can think of. So, like, Nick Delorier is useful, like, because penalty minutes are such a big deal. Like, it just seems like so much. I'm also horrible at fantasy football, and that's like 3 things to pay attention to. Right? So, no, you didn't reach on him because guess what? Now, every time he scores, you win twice. That's what I always think of.
There you go.
So, good job, dumb Flyers fan. Proud of you. All right, and that is all the time we have for you on PHLY Flyers, brought to you by Bet365 today. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for hanging out. If you haven't already, got to hit that subscribe button. Follow us right here on the YouTube page. Set that reminder bell so you never miss a live show. So much coming up for you in the next couple of days. Tomorrow for the opener. Pre-game at 9:30, watch along throughout the game, and post-game as soon as it goes final, where Charlie will join us from Vancouver. And then the following day, that's right, pre- and post-game again. So join us for those Friday and Saturday coming up as this puck drops on the 24-25 season. All right, follow us on Twitter at PHLY_Flyers and follow the podcast wherever you get those. Just search PHLY Flyers. That'll do it for us. My name is Bill Matz. That's JP Zapata. Let's go Flyers.
We all silly like the mayor.